The nitrogen illusion. Why clear water led divers into a silent trap. There is a strange lie the ocean tells. It does not always come in storms. It does not always come in black water. It does not always come with panic, current, blood, or broken gear. Sometimes the ocean lies by looking perfect. Clear water, calm surface, sunlight cutting down through the blue, a reef visible below like a painting, a cave entrance glowing in the distance, a wall dropping into the deep so cleanly that it feels less like diving and more like flying. And that is where the danger begins, because in deep water, perfect visibility can become a trap. When a diver can see clearly, the brain relaxes. The fear response softens. The depth feels manageable. The distance feels smaller than it is. The exit looks closer than it really is. And the diver begins to trust what the eyes are saying. But the body is receiving a very different message. Pressure is rising. Gas is changing. Every breath is heavier. Every minute creates more obligation. And inside the diver's brain, nitrogen is beginning to do something terrifying. It is not cutting off consciousness. It is not knocking the diver out. It is not screaming danger. It is quietly changing judgment. This is nitrogen narcosis. Divers have called it the rapture of the deep. Some compare it to alcohol intoxication. Some describe it as warmth, confidence, calm, or euphoria. Others feel anxiety, confusion, tunnel vision, or dread. But the most dangerous version may be the one that feels like nothing at all. The diver thinks they are fine. The diver thinks they are sharp. The diver thinks they are in control, and that is the illusion. Not that the water is unclear, but that the mind is. Today we are looking at the nitrogen illusion. Why clear water can lead divers into a silent trap. Why perfect conditions can hide a failing brain. Why experienced divers can make beginner-level mistakes in water that looks calm, bright, and safe. And why, in the deep, what you see may be the least reliable part of survival. Because sometimes the ocean does not kill by blinding you. Sometimes it kills by letting you see everything, except the danger inside your own mind. Start with the scene. A diver descends into blue water. There is no storm, no violent current, no brown murk. No obvious reason to be afraid. The visibility is almost unreal, the kind of water tourists dream about, the kind of water that makes a camera look cinematic without trying. You can see the reef below. You can see other divers clearly. You can see the slope, the wall, the cave, the sand, the light above. And because you can see, your brain says something simple. This is okay. That sentence may be one of the most dangerous thoughts in diving. Not because the diver is foolish, but because the human brain is built to judge danger through familiar signals. Darkness feels dangerous, murk feels dangerous, strong current feels dangerous, big waves feel dangerous, confusion feels dangerous, but clear water sends the opposite message. It tells the brain, relax. It tells the body, there is no immediate threat. It tells the diver, you are oriented. And when the diver feels oriented, they may stop respecting what the instruments are saying. The depth gauge becomes less emotionally powerful than the view. The dive computer becomes another object on the wrist. Bottom time feels abstract. Gas pressure feels like a number instead of a countdown. And the deeper the diver goes, the more expensive each mistake becomes. This is the crystalline deception. The water is clear, but the situation is not. The diver sees distance, but may misread depth. The diver sees the exit, but may underestimate the time needed to return. The diver sees other people, but may assume the team is safer than it really is. The diver sees beauty, but the body is entering a zone where chemistry begins to interfere with survival. One of the old sayings in diving is called Martini's Law. The simplified version says that every additional depth interval can feel like another martini. It is not exact science. It is not a perfect measurement, but it gives non-divers a way to understand the danger. At depth, nitrogen under pressure can make the diver mentally impaired, not always dramatically, not always obviously, sometimes subtly, a little slower, a little more confident, a little less cautious, a little more willing to continue, a little less able to recognize that continuing is the mistake. That matters because the first thing deep water often steals is not strength. It steals judgment. The diver may still move, still fin, still signal, still check gauges, still look calm, but complex decision-making begins to decay. That is the terrifying part. Manual skill can remain while judgment is failing. A diver can still operate gear, but choose the wrong action. A diver can still see the computer, but not respect the warning. A diver can still follow a group, but not question the plan. A diver can still feel capable, but no longer be capable of accurately measuring risk. That is the nitrogen illusion, not total helplessness. Functional impairment disguised as control. Now let's talk about the chemistry of euphoria. When a diver breathes compressed gas at depth, the partial pressures of the gases increase. That means the gases are not behaving in the body the same way they do at the surface. Nitrogen, which makes up most of normal air, becomes narcotic under pressure. The exact mechanisms are complex and still discussed in diving physiology, but the practical effect is clear. The nervous system changes, thinking slows, perception shifts, mood can change, reaction time can lag, short-term memory can weaken, risk awareness can fade, and the diver may not know it is happening. That last part is what makes narcosis so dangerous. A drunk person often does not believe they are drunk. A narcotized diver may not believe they are impaired. The brain being used to detect the problem is the same brain affected by the problem. That is a brutal design flaw. It is like asking a damaged compass to tell you whether the compass is damaged. And clear water makes this worse in a psychological way. In poor visibility, divers are often more cautious. They slow down. They stay closer. They check instruments more often. They feel the threat. Their fear response may actually help them respect procedure. But in bright, clean water, the diver may not feel danger rising. The amygdala, the part of the brain involved in threat detection, is not being fed the same warning signs. There is no darkness to fear, no cloudy water to trigger caution, no obvious environmental chaos. Everything looks manageable, so the diver may continue deeper, longer or farther than the plan allowed. Not because they consciously choose death, because the environment is whispering safety while the chemistry is reducing caution. That is the trap. Clear water gives confidence at the exact moment depth should demand humility. Now imagine a diver at depth beginning to feel good. Not scared, not rushed, not worried, maybe even peaceful. They look around and think, this is amazing. They feel strong. They feel focused. They feel like the dive is under control. But their breathing gas is being consumed faster at depth. Their no decompression limit may be shrinking. Their exit time is growing. Their reserve is becoming more important. And every extra minute creates a sharper edge. This is where narcosis can connect with another killer: task loading. Task loading means the diver has too many demands at once: depth, gas, buoyancy, navigation, current, camera, buddy awareness, computer alarms, lights, line, deco planning, cave or wreck awareness. All of it competes for mental space. At shallow depth, a trained diver may manage those tasks well. At depth, under narcosis, the brain may still perform simple tasks, but fail to prioritize the life-saving ones. A diver may keep filming while missing gas pressure. A diver may follow a wall while ignoring bottom time. A diver may adjust buoyancy while losing track of direction. A diver may stare at a computer warning and not fully process what it means. A diver may know the rule on land, then fail to apply it underwater. That is why experience is not a shield by itself. Experience helps. Training helps. Discipline helps. But narcosis does not care how many dives are in the logbook. It affects physiology. The elite diver is still breathing under pressure. The instructor is still vulnerable. The confident diver may actually be more vulnerable if confidence keeps them from admitting impairment. This is how technical mastery breaks down. Not always through panic, sometimes through drift. A slow drift away from the plan. A slow drift away from the turn pressure. A slow drift away from the team. A slow drift into a place where the diver is still functioning but no longer truly managing the dive. And in clear water, that drift may feel beautiful. That is the cruelty. The mistake does not always feel like a mistake. Sometimes it feels like freedom. Let's reconstruct the silent failure. A dive begins normally. The group enters the water. Conditions look excellent. Visibility is strong. The descent feels controlled. The divers can see each other. Maybe they can see the reef, the wall, or the cave entrance below. No one feels immediate danger. The first few minutes go well. Then the depth increases. The pressure rises. Breathing becomes denser. Gas consumption increases. Nitrogen narcosis begins to influence judgment. At first, nothing looks wrong. No one is flailing. No one is bolting. No one is obviously panicked. The divers may still signal okay. They may even believe they are okay. But small errors begin. A delayed gauge check. A missed team signal. A few extra seconds admiring the scene. A turn point ignored. A depth limit allowed to stretch. A diver who should ask a question stays quiet. A leader who should stop the dive continues. A follower assumes the leader knows. The computer may show a number. The diver may see it. But seeing is not the same as processing. This matters in modern diving because technology can create its own false comfort. Dive computers are powerful tools. They track depth, time, ascent rate, decompression status, gas settings, alarms, and more. But they cannot make a narcotized brain care. They cannot create discipline where the diver has surrendered it. They cannot force a team to turn around. They can warn. They can calculate. They can flash. They can beep. But the human still has to respond. And under narcosis, the response may be delayed, minimized, or rationalized. The diver thinks, just a little longer. The diver thinks, we are almost there. The diver thinks, I feel fine. The diver thinks, the water is clear, so getting out will be easy. That last thought is deadly, because a clear path down does not guarantee a safe path back. The descent is always easier psychologically. Gravity helps. Excitement helps. Curiosity helps. The sight pulls you in. But the exit is where the bill comes due. Now you need gas. You need time. You need awareness. You need ascent discipline. You need decompression discipline. You need to manage stress. You need to avoid rushing. You need to solve problems with a brain that may already be impaired. This is where a beautiful dive can become a quiet emergency. Not one explosion, not one dramatic failure. A series of tiny unpaid debts. A little too deep, a little too long, a little too confident, a little too slow to turn, a little too much trust in visibility. Then the diver realizes the numbers are wrong. Gas is lower than expected. Time is gone. The exit is farther than it felt. The ascent is not optional. The decompression obligation is real. And the mind that must now solve the problem is the same mind that helped create it. That is the nitrogen illusion. Now let's bring this closer to the tragedies we study on this channel. In many diving disasters, viewers ask a natural question. How could they not see the danger? The answer is painful. Sometimes they did see. They saw the cave, they saw the wall, they saw the depth, they saw the water, they saw each other, they saw the route, but they did not perceive the risk accurately. Sight and judgment are not the same thing. A diver can see the entrance and misjudge the exit. A diver can see clear blue water and misjudge the depth. A diver can see a teammate and misjudge the team's safety. A diver can see the gauge and fail to feel urgency. This is why just look around is not a safety plan. This is why training relies on rules that do not depend on feelings. Turn pressures, depth limits, gas reserves, team checks, written plans, backup plans, line protocols, abort signals. These systems exist because feelings underwater cannot be trusted. Especially at depth, especially in clear water, especially when everything looks easier than it is. The deep ocean is dangerous because it can separate perception from reality. Reality is pressure. Reality is gas consumption. Reality is narcosis. Reality is decompression. Reality is distance. Reality is the exit clock. Perception may say, "We are fine." Reality may say, "You are running out of options." And reality always wins. So how do divers fight the nitrogen illusion? They do not fight it with confidence. They fight it with systems. First, they respect depth limits. This sounds obvious, but many disasters begin with a small negotiation. A little deeper, a little longer, just to see, just for the shot, just because the water is clear, just because everyone else is going. Deep diving punishes just. Second, they use the right breathing gas. For deeper technical dives, standard air may not be the appropriate tool. Trimix, training, gas planning, and proper equipment exist for a reason. The gas is part of the life support system. Using the wrong gas at the wrong depth is not a small detail. It is a foundation problem. Third, they use team-based cognitive checks. This is important. A diver cannot always self-diagnose narcosis accurately, so the team must look for changes. Slow responses, odd behavior, missed signals, unusual confidence, fixation, task failure, confusion. The team has to be willing to call the dive when a diver is not acting right, even if that diver says they feel fine, especially if that diver says they feel fine too quickly. Fourth, divers need pre-planned turn points that are not emotional. The turn pressure is decided before the dive. The max depth is decided before the dive. The bottom time is decided before the dive. The abort conditions are decided before the dive, because the surface brain is usually clearer than the deep brain. A plan made before narcosis is more trustworthy than a decision made during narcosis. Fifth, divers must reduce task loading. No unnecessary camera work, no unnecessary penetration, no complex changes without training, no chasing footage, no following blindly. The deeper the dive, the fewer distractions the diver can afford. Every extra task is another place for the narcotized brain to fail. Sixth, the team has to normalize saying no. This may be the most important protocol of all. No should not be treated as weakness. No should be treated as a functioning safety system. A diver who says no may be the only person seeing clearly before the dive begins. A diver who calls the dive may save people who would never admit they needed saving. In deep water, the bravest decision is often not entering. It is stopping. Now here is the final lesson. Clear water is not safe water. Beautiful water is not safe water. Calm water is not safe water. Visibility is not a substitute for gas planning. Visibility is not a substitute for training. Visibility is not a substitute for proper breathing mix. Visibility is not a substitute for team discipline. Visibility is not a substitute for the courage to turn around. The nitrogen illusion works because it gives the diver a false picture of control. The diver sees the world clearly and assumes the mind is clear too. But at depth, the eyes can be sharp while judgment is compromised. The water can be transparent while the brain is fogged. The path can look open while the margin is closing. That is why the deep is so dangerous. It does not always attack. Sometimes it seduces. It offers beauty. It offers silence. It offers space. It offers the feeling of flight. And while the diver is admiring the view, the clock is running. The gas is dropping. The pressure is working. The nitrogen is whispering, "You are fine. Keep going. Just a little farther." That whisper has killed divers. Not because they were stupid, not because they were weak, but because human perception was never designed for that environment. The ocean is not our natural home. At depth, we survive by math, discipline, equipment, and team procedure. Not by instinct, not by beauty, not by confidence. So the next time you see footage of crystal clear water, remember this. The danger is not always what the diver cannot see. Sometimes the danger is what the diver sees too well. A perfect view, a silent descent, a beautiful trap, and a brain slowly losing the ability to recognize that the dive has already changed. That is the nitrogen illusion. And in the deep, the most dangerous lie may be the one that feels like total control. I'll see you on the next puzzle.